Right. And we walked down the street. So that's one place and then shady character. No, I know. I got it. Rights, and there comes with English and Spanish. It's also got a whistle in it, and it's got the ICE activity hotline number. This is a lyric sheet for the chants that we're going to do, and then this is what to do if you're detained.
I think the problem is with the way that the internet works, this is the thing that motivates people.
Oh yeah, I got one.
So it gets people
This song is called Fuck Ice.
definitely inside. I write music to whip it out.
Well, you know, a little love for Valentine's Day. It is a blue suit, yeah. Yep. How are we doing today? Are you recording people? Yeah. You know, I have to say the weather is pretty good. You're going to do something like this. It's not like 20 below that we had 2 weeks ago. Hello.
President's Day. Copper tie.
I see it. And the hair. Oh my god, I didn't see the hair! The blonde and follow me to the Epstein files. Venezuela/Greenland. Oh, I said your head. Did you after they report the Epstein files?
Follow me and you will see.
Look, guys, you've been fooled twice. I love it. If there's anything you could say to the man that you're emulating today, what would you say to him on President's Day? I love it. Anything else? Thank you. Perfect. No, I need your phone. I have old knees, Jack. Give me that opinion. We go here. Yeah, I know.
I agree with you.
Who are you here with? Can I see it? Right. Well, even if downtown.
We are live here with, utilize your name, sir? Alan. Go ahead. With Alan Seaver and the Bay City Resistance. Sounds like that's a great name for a band. Anyway, it's an anti-ice road, perfectly timed as it's about 52 degrees. See, we now have a chicken. All of you do the Epstein files, etc. All right. And some, where's your big
This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands. From the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I went walking that ribbon of highway and saw above me, down in the skyway, I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled and followed my footsteps to the sweet sparkling sands of her diamond deserts. All around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. There was a big high wall there that tried to stop me. Sign was painted, said private property, but on the backside it didn't say nothing. This land was made for you and me. When the sun comes shining, then I was strolling, and the wheat fields wave and dust clouds rolling. A voice come chanting as the fog was lifting. This land was made for you and me. One more time to the refrain. This land is your land, and this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Thank you, Bay City. So we have Commissioner Runberg here, who's here to talk to us about his proposals. I will hand the microphone over to him. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, thank you. What was that? Woody Guthrie that wrote that, I think? Or he at least popular? I gotta be right to the top. So first off, I apologize for being late. It turns out if you have a Hewlett Packard printer, and you pay for subscription to ink, despite the fact that you still have more than a half cartridges of ink in your printer, if you didn't pay your bill, you don't get to use your own printer. One of many problems, but is obviously lower on my priority list today. I have to say, for some of you, this is a repeat, it's a rerun. We already fought this fight once before.
And you're gonna lose again.
Thanks, Nelson. Everyone say hi to Nelson.
You're gonna lose again.
Hey, we still love you, don't worry. We respect the First Amendment in this crowd.
You're gonna lose again.
And the Second Amendment, which apparently one side gave up on. Surprised me. But I'll say this. Despite how tonight's vote goes, it is unmistakable if somebody assumes that we don't have a voice. I understand we're about a city of around 32,000 folk. I understand that some people will criticize us assuming that we don't have a voice because of our size. But I'll tell you what, Ingham County, Washtenaw, multiple counties across both this state and this country have in just the past several months passed several resolutions and ordinance changes that honor what it means to be an American. I'm 7th generation in this town, raised in the 8th. My ancestor, John B. Trudell, built his log cabin, I guess buried in history, but built his log cabin In 1834, near present-day Johnson and 17th, or Broadway and 17th, he was among the first white residents to call this place home. He married Benoit Tremblay's daughter, Benoit of the one-room log cabin over by the river behind us. And if there's anything to be said about what makes America great, if we remember our civics classes, if we remember the U.S. history classes that we were a part of, the geography classes, government, etc., is that we are a land of immigration. We are a land that's a melting pot. Fortunately, those natives who can call this place home before we arrived opened their arms and welcomed us into this community, unfortunately by either bayonet or by towel or blanket. But one thing is certain, if they are still willing to share this land with us folk, we have an obligation to continue to extend that hand and those open arms. People are going to tell you tonight that this is a federal matter and that there's a supremacy clause that allows the federal government of the United States to run roughshod over the states and local municipalities. To that, I'll tell you that, for one, we have the 10th Amendment. We have anti-commandeering laws, both of which shield us from the obligation to use local resources for the enforcement of federal immigration, civil immigration law. We also have in the state of Michigan, both enshrined in our state constitution as well as statutes that have since been passed, home rule, which means we get to dictate how our local resources are spent. One side of the political aisle will tell us that there's a states' right issue when it comes to anything else, like educating our young, like how we raise our children, and the conversations we have between our doctors and our families. And they want to claim that they have authority over what we decide to do. Meanwhile, when it comes to charter schools, when it comes to dealing with anything outside of the purview of local government and state government that they feel that are being infringed upon by the federal government, they'll raise hell. I'm going to tell you right now, it is not right versus left. It's right versus wrong. None of what I'm expecting the commission to pass tonight, and our mayor, who I believe just went inside to not veto,
Just hang in there.
are very simple asks. Asks that we get to determine as a city how we choose to move forward. To protect our civil rights, to shield our community from any sort of financial liability or legal liability, and to let the federal government do as it will, because they'll have some time to come to answer either this November or by 2028. So while I expect we'll win tonight, know that it's not an easy fight, but know that we all remember what it means to be an American. We remember the civics classes that were drilled into us when we were forced to swear the Pledge of Allegiance. We know what it means to obligate the Constitution. And if tonight is anything, whether it passes or not, whether all of you get passed, one or two of them, know that we will not stop fighting, that our voices will not stop being heard. We have the opportunity to exercise our first, potentially our fourth, maybe our second. I doubt this crowd's worried about too much, but it's a possibility. Definitely our 10th and certainly our 14th Amendment, which all say, ending with the 14th, that all persons in these United States, within the jurisdiction thereof, have inalienable rights. The rights to due process, the rights to seek happiness, for life and liberty. And for anyone tonight who stands against us, should they claim otherwise, we'll know who the real Americans are in this crowd. Now, I want us all to be passionate, but I want us all to reserve decorum. We want to be as professional as possible. There are going to be some hurtful things that we're going to hear from some of the speakers tonight. Some who have previously cast doubt on the the intention of folks who would dare to dream about one day calling themselves American. In a previous bout that we had with this back in March of last year, 25, we had folks who had insisted that there were immigrants stealing candy bars and leaving their wrappers on the floor of Meijer. I guess littering was their beef. That's one line too far for them.
Pedophilia is okay.
Pedophilia is okay, apparently. So what I'll tell you tonight is we do have the moral high ground. We don't have to make a scene of ourselves to get our point across. I don't mind some headlines rising out of this, but at the end of the day, our hearts are in the right place and we are on the correct side of history. Please keep it within the bounds of decorum so they don't give us any reason to be pissed off at us. I mean, feel free to let loose on the social media landscape that we had following this meeting. But I am grateful. I honestly, people think that I'm trying to make noise by putting these resolutions forward. Believe me, the death threats, the hate, the vitriol that I've been exposed to both while trying to shop out for groceries in the middle of the week or on social media, all that hate that wears down on me and grinds me down and makes all of us, depending on whether it's immigration or any of the other many constitutional protections that we have being stomped upon, all of it gets tiring, it gets wearing, it gets weary. But seeing this group here today reminds me that I'm not alone in this. So thank you. Give all yourselves a round of applause. That's all I have before I get into this meeting. I hope to meet with some of you after the meeting. Come get me. I'll be around. Just come up to the desk. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's get one more hand for Commissioner Runberg. All right, as he said, if you are going inside to give public comment, please remember to maintain decorum. They have threatened to shut down meetings before just because people are clapping too loudly in the stands. So if you wait for your turn to speak, go up, speak, keep it classy, Bay City. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy a little bit more time out here in the streets before we head inside. I figure we'll end things with one final chant. Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here.
Take it to your house. How many of them would take to your house? Is that what Jesus would say? Huh? Is that what Jesus would say? I'm not into How many will you take?
Don't fall over. Those are steps right there.
I know, I gotta go. I'm sorry. Was Jesus a brown-skinned immigrant? Yes, he was. Jesus was a brown-skinned immigrant, right? No comment. Gotcha.
It's really funny watching MAGA turn into a Second Amendment hating pedophile. He used to be like, hey, let's protect the kids. Now you're like, oh, Trump raped kids, it's okay. I guess you can rape kids if you're like a Republican or you're white or you're Jewish.
We only got 3 more years of Trump.
After you say thank God.
He used to be like, don't tread on you, and now we're like, oh my God, the Second Amendment. He had a gun. What's up?
They're always fighting shit.
Basically, Native Americans lived here for several hundred years, then in return for repression.
Wokey now? Are you a Wokey? No, you said we were not a Wokey. You're fucking Wokey. You're a Wokey. You're a Wokey. You're a Wokey because you said that. I don't need it. You're telling me that. You're telling me that. So I don't. Well, no, I don't have a religion. And also, I'm not a stereotypical liberal. I actually hate liberals. You know? I'm a leftist. Okay. I believe everybody should have guns. Well, basically, anybody at MAGA intelligence or less is a really like you don't really gotta use it. What's more disgusting than that is watching MAGA.
Well, it's like it was great today. Once the evening hits,
Tried to fit their narrative out. Yeah, no swearing, no cussing. They were even thanking me at the end. Hey, they worked hard on their presentation. Tried to shake it up.
At the library. Yeah. I'm not sure what it will be on Facebook. Yeah. Yeah. Take care.
See you later. Have a good evening.
Same to you. Hey, I hope you enjoy walking. Have a great night.
serve to protect their communities. I don't quite get it. Yeah.
Thank you for
Yes, ma'am. Same to you.
Have a good one.
Same to you.
Never in the service or in law.
They're being forced to wear a mask. Yeah, protect their children. That's nonsense. Yeah.
You don't want to know who they are?
The only one, if you're a distance, because you're probably breaking the law. Hey, if I get pulled over, I mean, I drink and drive all the time. Today just wasn't my day, you know. But, you know, I mean, I'm just saying, you know, you come over and break my window, you still Is that right? Yeah, you know, that'd be a bad mistake. That's right. That's right. Oh yeah, that's a good mistake. Okay, yeah, sure. I have a lot of those signs on my property.
Nice is nice.
Right, Commissioner Stewart.
Yes, thank you so much for this and for trying to increase our current policies and trying to get more Bay City residents to take advantage of this program. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm understanding the presentation correctly. So currently for 2025, we had closer to like about 11 applications. Does that sound about right from your chart? Which equated to a little less than about $5,000 worth of tax dollars. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, and then I actually, in my day job as a civil legal aid attorney, have helped numerous people apply for these in a variety of municipalities, and I know that municipalities have quite that based on the discretion of the board, they can do 100% in certain circumstances, the 50% or the 25%. So my question is, did you consider a more flexible policy for those that are truly are needed to potentially have higher than 50% reduction?
We have, we've also considered the Michigan Homestead Credit as well. And we can always increase the exemption going forward. What I've done in the past 2 years is I studied the city of Saginaw, or the city of Detroit, everyone that has a tier level of how that impacted budgets as well. And what we don't want to do is give away as much public service as possible for the sake of the hardship exemption as well. It's a finding a balance. In our recommendation is finding a balance that strikes the most people, but with the balance of the homestead credit as well.
Yeah, and I certainly appreciate there's a difference between a bright line rule, which can very uniformly be applied, like if you meet certain criteria, you get it, versus having a more subjective rule that allows for discretion.
So there's a new law, I think what you're thinking of, it came into effect 2 years ago, and this is what started the tiered system. But one of the stipulations in that law is that the board cannot deviate whatsoever, and that was the difference in 2 years ago versus prior to that.
Okay, so I think I might have missed that. So there's one that the board cannot deviate for, and then there's a separate that we have some more discretion on. I'm sorry, help me understand.
So starting in year 2023, there was a law that got implemented by the legislation that said that the board no longer has the authority to go outside of the guidelines. But prior of that, we did have the local board did have the authority to modify the exemption through different circumstances, healthcare costs, things like that, through the applicant.
So under the current state law, is there still any possibility of a 100% exception?
Yeah, absolutely. There's it's your discretion, by your resolution. If you want all residents under the federal poverty level, you have the authority by resolution to do that.
Okay. And the proposed policy that we're voting on tonight does not include the possibility of a discretion for somebody who's below 100% to have a 100% exemption, or it does? Because my reading of it is that the max that somebody could get is a 50% reduction. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
If we wanted to allow for a little bit more discretion and add a little bit more flexibility in our policy for someone under 100% of the poverty line, we could go up to 100% exemption for that criteria.
You would.
What would it take to modify that proposed policy?
You would take an amended verbiage in the proposed resolution, the verbiage of 50% to 100%. But by doing that, they will not receive any money back from the homestead credit.
Tell me more about that.
So if they're 100% exempt from the local unit taxes, you get reimbursed 3% of your income through the Michigan Homestead Credit. So if you're not paying any money in your taxes, you will not receive any money back from the state through the Michigan Homestead Credit. So in a sense, the local unit will lose some money up there, but the benefit of doing 100% is that the 100% loss will be up front, whereas it's in arrears for the Michigan Homestead Credit.
So if we changed it so it allowed more discretion in our policy, and if a homeowner asked for the 100%, therefore not allowing themselves to get the homestead tax credit, I hear you when you're saying we want to maximize resources for everybody. But if somebody met that situation, it sounds like you're trying to be holistic with people, and if somebody...
Oh, okay, I was just right by where you were.
Oh, thank you.
Blank copies, if we have a person that never filed taxes, which happens pretty often, we let them know, we instruct them about the FEMA program for the IRS. We do everything we can to retroactively amend their taxes so they get the Michigan homestead credit and home heat credit as well.
It's also my understanding that the city has the special ARPA dollars to help residents in Bay City do lots of really cool stuff. Like if you need a new roof, if you need other lots of things, and that money is term limited. And basically, we have a lot of money that we still need to give away. And that if somebody's taking advantage of that program, you're trying to be holistic and saying, hey, if you might qualify for these tax exemption programs, we're trying to help them with those applications too. Is that right?
Yeah, the one thing that's different between the ARPA program and this Michigan Homestead, or the poverty program, is that the reimbursement can't be through ARPA funds. It's specifically.
This program we're talking about, how long has this been around?
As far as I know, since the Michigan General Property Tax Act, we're talking since 1994.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'm just looking at a couple of the slides here, catching up. Applications annually, it seems like it's quite the downward trend. I mean, even 05, where the data starts at, was prior to the 07-08 housing crisis. Do we have any idea why there's been downward pressure on the applications?
We don't know. We do our best to kind of get the word out, but we talk about it almost kind of weekly, why people aren't really applying for this kind of more often. I mean, you see the height of some of the applications, that the chart only goes to when we're getting
Okay, I guess that's all I had. It was just an interesting trend that I was observing, so thank you.
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Shawa. Yes, I was wondering if there's a senior age where you're exempt from the school tax.
You know, it's interesting you say that. It's coming potentially down the pipeline. Here it's being proposed in a new public act, similar to what the state of Florida is doing. We get about one question a month on that, but as of right now.
Okay, the other thing I have is a little bit off the subject, being you're the assessor. I've been asking around about this a little bit. Is anybody watching the giveaway of, I don't want to say giveaway, but we have tax abatements to attract business and what have you. Is anybody watching when some of these things are coming back online and they're going to start paying taxes?
Oh, yeah.
So when we're planning a budget, we can say, next year, provided the business is still here, that money's going to come in and get an idea of how much more money would come in?
Yeah, if anyone asks our department, without a doubt, that's one of our primary jobs.
So it is being watched. Is that something that is watched on a regular basis, or?
I personally watch it, not daily, but I would say.
Is there anything any good about it? I mean, is it substantial, or?
There's for 2026, there's not any substantial tax abatements coming out.
I mean, I know Uptown's supposed to be about another 20 years, I think it is. Probably won't be here anymore, but it would be great for the city. That's all I have. Thanks.
All right, Commissioner, I'd like to go to Commissioner, I haven't had a chance yet, Commissioner DeWitt, and then I'll come back to you.
I'd just like for clarification from Commissioner Schmitz, so through the chair to the city manager. Are the ARPA funds still available, or are those been spent and allocated?
We are spending them as we go on. I don't know if Debbie Kiesel has it in her brain right now what the balance is. No, she doesn't. I can set that up to you.
I just want to know how much left. I know we are on the deadline.
We're spending them to help people.
Commissioners, and I'll get to you, Commissioner.
We wait in addition to the poverty exemption, we have quite a few veteran exemptions in the city. I mean, while I was there, I've seen that number increase every year. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, and that's not state reimbursed through state revenue sharing either. We lose about $2 million in taxable value per year.
So we, because we give I'm sorry, I don't want to jump into, but because we give the veteran exemption, there's $2 million
of taxable value.
No, taxable value, not actual tax dollars to the So what is the total impact on the city for this program we're proposing again?
It won't, our budget forecast is not noticeable. We're forecasting a loss of overall taxable revenue, say about $25,000 per year.
Okay. Which could have a tremendous impact on the residents.
Without a doubt, what we're seeing personally here in our office is applicants that aren't, they make too much money, just barely, and that's we notice that right there.
Mr. Cubit, all right.
I actually was going to comment on the 100% disabled veterans, just to clarify that that is a totally separate exemption. So if somebody is considered 100% disabled through the VA, every year that it can apply for a separate exemption, correct? Like they have to apply every year. It's not something that stands.
Actually, there's a new law that was a little frustrating that they had to come in every single year and apply. Now in 2025, it's a one and done. We do have to implement a 3-year audit, but what we're going to be doing is just a 3-year audit. Is just every 3 years, just apply again. We're going to reach out to those veterans and knock on their door if needed.
Thank you so much.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you. Everybody in the audience is pretty rubbed up on this. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, I know we have some folks in the back. There is an upstairs, room 317, if there's not enough.
Left or right?
Go up the stairs.
I got you.
It's on that side.
Thank you, thank you.
So, room 317, there's a video display.
And on that side. Yeah, I know. I just want to go down here because of
tell it's locked?
Yeah, it's locked.
Yeah, there ain't none. There's no other entrances. Killing one. You don't got it open. Away from everybody. On video. Right. Go downstairs.
That's interesting terminology, buddy. Is it locked?
Bro, there's a screen.
Public officials lie.
Yeah, screen.
We have workers from Bay Area Behavioral Health ride with officers. Whenever they get a new social worker that's an expert in this, they come and ride with officers. A goal for at least the last 3 years is to try to get a crisis team that could respond 24 hours a day. It's very difficult to find the staff for that, as we've learned. It requires a good amount of schooling to be able to counsel somebody effectively, to have the qualifications to do it, which is kind of a stark reminder to me. We've always responded to these as law enforcement because we're the only one that answers, not because we're eminently qualified to deal with people that are having a mental health crisis. We're not. We're trying to get there. We do crisis intervention training through behavioral health. They've been exceptional to work with, and they're trying just as hard as we are to help with the solution to the problem. Mental health is broken. I'll tell you that up and down, and it's always been thrust upon us. And we're not the answer. We try to do our best, try to get people help, but a lot of times there's no place to take it. And I say up here, to divert people to the emergency room or jail, those have always been our two options at 2 in the morning. If somebody's in crisis, you take them to the emergency room, and I'll be honest, that's not the place for them either. You go there, they look at you like, why'd you bring them in here? Can't you just take them to jail? Not to say the nurses aren't empathetic, but they got 15 patients to deal with, and this person going off the rails isn't really in their job description either. There's no real good solution. Sorry to be a downer on the subject, but I'm just telling you, we're doing our part. This isn't law enforcement. This is community policing at its finest. Now, to address some of the things that are in these resolutions tonight, I just want to point out, I put a few of our policies on your desk tonight, covering a couple of the topics that are mentioned throughout these resolutions. This one kind of addresses the face masking. We don't wear face masks. The only time, when you write a policy, you have to think of every situation. It's difficult, trust me, because I've written policies and 6 months down the road, I didn't think of that. But just a couple weeks ago, we had we did a search warrant, somebody barricaded themselves in a garage. We had officers outside when it's negative wind chills in a perimeter around the house for over an hour. Yeah, put some turtle fur on your face. Don't get frostbite. There's exceptions like that we allow supervisors to improvise when they need to. But as a general rule, the only people that have ever worn face masks at this department since I've been here are, say, at the most, we usually have maybe 2 officers that have working in an undercover capacity. If they assist a team of uniformed officers with the search warrant, they will have a mask on to protect their identity. But you can read the policy there, and when we write the uniform policy, it's very specific. This is what you can wear. We don't go through and say, and you can't wear this, and you can't wear that, and you can't wear that. That would be an endless list because you can't really think of everything you can't wear. What we can do is think of, this is what you can wear. This is it. Body-worn camera, again, the policy is on your desk. Detailed policy. There are so many things that I didn't think of, to be honest with you, when we first got body-worn cameras. Retention standards that we have, they meet or exceed state standards. We have, we pay a lot for the storage of body camera footage, and we take full advantage of that. Trust me, you couldn't watch all the video we have from 1 year. You would have to sleep at some point. Like, you couldn't watch it. It's not possible. When you go to 25,000 calls, give or take, and you have, sometimes 2, 3 officers at a call, it's a lot of video. Trust me. Translation services, detailed policy, it's on your desk. We use the phone system is probably the most reliable. There are a couple other solutions that we don't run across it very often. It was very nice when we had a gentleman that worked in the jail that spoke very fluent Spanish. And it was a relief for the officers and a relief for the person that only spoke Spanish, because they're like, oh, finally, somebody I can communicate with. And this was years ago. So we don't have that now, but we have, we pay for subscription to that telephone service so that we have a PIN number, we just call. That's how it works. It's very detailed in there. Immigration detainers. If I could put a flashing sign on my car, I would. We don't detain people on immigration detainers. Everybody in the department knows that. There is, I'm not going to say, I don't know, I'm not a constitutional scholar, but I know enough that I don't want to get sued. And immigration detainers, at the very least, I would say is unsettled law. There are a lot of different decisions on it. I don't see any reason for us to get involved. I don't like exposing us to liability for nothing. I'm trying not to be political at all during this, because to quote the Grand Rapids chief that's outgoing, when you politicize policing, that's a recipe for failure. I don't want to do that. However, that being said, our immigration system, I'll be the first one to tell you, is broken. We have, as a law enforcement agency though, I have to follow what the law is. Immigration detainers are not part of the law that we enforce. That's why we don't do them. We don't have a holding facility. We have no say in what the jail does when we take somebody there. There's times when we've arrested somebody, they say, we're not taking them. We're full. We don't have room. We don't want to deal with them. Take them out. Okay, they have the final say in that. Obviously, depending on the severity of the crime, they're not going to turn us away if it's something very serious. But once we put them in there, we have no say whether they hold them, don't hold them, whether they want to abide by an immigration detainer, although I know of no instance where they've done that. Here in Bay City, as I've told many people, I've been here, 27 years now. That makes me old, but it also, I've seen a lot, and I have never met somebody from ICE in 27 years. Never. I've met FBI, ATF, DEA, you name it, every other 3-letter agency, but I've never met anybody from ICE. Never talked to them. This is probably the section of the resolution that gives me the most, heartburn. When you look at MCL 764.9, the resolution pulls one paragraph out of that resolution. It doesn't show paragraph 5 after that. It doesn't show paragraph 3 before that. Paragraph 3 says you must arrest somebody if they violate a personal protection order, which is a 93-day misdemeanor. The resolution says don't arrest people for anything you can cite them for. You can't really cite because the law says I have to arrest them. That's a 93-day misdemeanor. So OWI, operating while intoxicated, drunk driving, whatever you want to call it.
Thank you, sir.
That's a 93-day misdemeanor. Depending on which definition you look at, can be considered a serious misdemeanor.
Here's the other side in case you want.
The reason all these exceptions exist
really
in
classy.
paragraph 5 of that law is because when this was going through the state level, the state representatives, the senators, met with people from the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police and came up with a good law that made sense. We cite people whenever we can. It's the law. Like, whenever you can cite somebody for a 93-day misdemeanor, you have to. That's what the law already says. But it has exceptions underneath it. I can get some crazy examples here, but there are, say, there's somebody standing in the middle of the road impeding traffic. And I go and I write them a ticket. Hey, you're impeding traffic. Okay. Thank you for the ticket. And they still stand in the middle of the road. What am I supposed to do in that situation? If somebody has balls up there, somebody has a light, come to your house, have discussions, they're intoxicated, walking around, picking fights with people, and I've seen how that ends many times. So there are reasons to arrest people for 93-day misdemeanors. It's not a pattern that we do, but trespassing. Somebody's at somebody's house and they don't want them there. If we go write them a ticket, that's a 30-day misdemeanor. So it has to be in our presence already. We tell them to leave, they don't leave.
On each board.
What do you want the officers to do?
They're the same thing on both boards.
Duty to intervene. This is in our response to resistance policy that's in front of you. Again, it's a requirement of accreditation. Means we witness anybody violating somebody's rights, we have to step in. Doesn't matter rank, doesn't matter experience, doesn't matter if it's your first day or your 20th year. You are required to step in. This is ingrained in people's heads. I actually have been to roll calls where I tell people, if you see me out of line, you better intervene. Hopefully that never ever happens, but I'm human. I've done stupid stuff. You have to intervene to get the point across to people. It's not okay to just sit idly by. If we witness somebody getting their rights violated or falsely arrested, we have to intervene. Again, we talked about this a little bit before, but COMB and POEM have language requiring anytime there's a new policy implemented or a work rule that requires how they do their job, we have to give it to them. Well, with POEM, you actually have to negotiate the rule. That generally means they have input before you implement it. In all cases, we always give them a policy for 30 days to say, can you look this over and see if there's anything that you don't agree with or that you would like change. Most of the time they'll sign off on most of the policies we have. But every now and then they come back and bring up a point that I didn't think of or that my staff didn't think of. So it's a good thing to have, but it can be a pain in the butt sometimes. And our unions are very cooperative with us in that if it's a no-brainer policy, they'll look at it and the next day say, you can go ahead with that, you don't need to wait 30 days. But it is a requirement, it's in their contract. As a general practice, agencies will notify us when they're coming into the city to do something. But we can't make them notify us. We have no authority to require somebody that has jurisdiction. The state police is in town every night. They're obviously not calling to say, hey, we did a traffic stop on Columbus. No, they're here doing that. Same with the sheriff's department. But if they're doing a search warrant in the city, they'll generally give us a heads up. Sometimes it's, hey, we're heading to this address right now and we're doing a search warrant. Oh, okay, thanks for letting us know. But that's the most, we can't require that. The Home Rule City Act, which is open to interpretation, but it lets you regulate your own law enforcement agency. It doesn't make outside agencies follow your policies. So I don't know. I read these resolutions. I don't know a lot of the reasoning behind it. I had no input on it, but I can only assume this was meant towards my department. I felt the need to at least come in here, explain what we do, and defend what we do, because we don't do immigration enforcement. We don't violate people's rights. If we do, people are held accountable. We develop policies based on insurance. MMRMA has model policies. The Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police has model policies. I read the 14-page ACLU document that Commissioner Cubit sent to me, which has similar language to some of these resolutions, except I don't think they were meant to be taken out, like especially the one about the misdemeanor arrest that talks about referring to cite people, but it doesn't limit it to, that's all you can do in that document. I look at all that stuff. My staff reviews every policy. They write them generally, and it goes through a chain of people to review it. Because no matter how good you are, nobody can write a policy in this book by themselves. It just doesn't work. Deciding whether or not to add a policy is a touch-and-go decision a lot of times. Right now, just the law enforcement portions of our department has roughly 900 pages of policies. If you think about that, let that sink in. They're required to follow 900 pages of policies. Thankfully, most of the urgent ones, they got down pretty good. But it's the ones, say you come across somebody who's limited English, and you need a translation service. Thankfully, we have, number one, supervisors. We also have an app on their phone where they can look up any policy to review it, to find out, how am I supposed to handle this? And they can look it up. But it's a lot of policies. Like I still to this day, when I see something happen or I get a complaint about an officer, say, I'll have to look it up sometimes to see, well, I don't know if that's a violation or not. And I wrote it, most of them, It's tough. So I'm very picky about adding policies. I don't like adding policies on things we don't do. It's like, if somebody wanted to store a helicopter in our parking lot, I'm not going to write a policy saying you can't fly it because you're not qualified. It's kind of the same with immigration enforcement. We don't do it. It is so, to be honest, I knew very little about immigration law because I didn't really care. It wasn't anything that affected me. We never did it. But I've read a lot on it as of late, and all I've learned is that it's way too complicated for somebody to just start enforcing without a whole lot of education on it. I don't even know, I read the different type of visas there are, whether somebody's here, they came in the country illegally, but now they're overstaying their visa. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. That's why I don't even want to get involved with it.
What the hell are you doing?
Excuse me, is somebody in the audience, please be respectful, thank you.
That being said, I will, and our department will enforce the laws that we have to enforce, without question. My biggest fear is ICE does come to town to go arrest somebody or does something, and we're going to do our best to keep the community safe. That's what we're going to do, but I'm not going to babysit ICE and follow them around. And I worry that given their reputation, citizens will put themselves in a situation where they're obstructing them. If they start obstructing people enforcing federal law, that's where we have to protect ICE and we have to protect them, whether we like it or not. Obstruction is obstruction, whether it's whatever law enforcement agency you want. Obviously, we're not going to stand by, watch them violate anybody's rights, but if they're within the law and people are obstructing them, we will have to act. The reason I'm saying that is because I don't want them to. I would rather have us intervene. We know how to deal with the people in this community. We know how to talk to people. We know how to handle crowds. I don't believe they've had much training on that whatsoever. Even said.
Commissioner Shallow, you had a question. Can it wait to the end of the presentation, or?
Yeah, well, it just said questions up there, so.
I'm all set.
Oh, you're all set. Okay, so all right. Commissioner Shallow.
Okay, my question is there counseling available for our first responders in Bay City?
Yes. We actually have our own peer support group that receive counseling or training on how to help people that are dealing with issues. We've also sent people to counselors that requested.
Well, I was referring more to the police officer or firefighter getting counseling for some of the stuff that they see on the job.
Yes.
It's up and running.
Yes.
Does it get used?
Yes, it has. It's only
come forward and use it.
It's probably been in effect for maybe 18 months now, give or take, and it has
great. Okay. I don't know how to put this exactly, but you said you. How do you know if the ICE official has a warrant to be doing what they're doing? When you're out on the street, would you stop them? Can you stop them and say, you have a warrant for arresting this person? I mean, the person's not doing anything wrong except peacefully protesting. Can you ask the ICE official if they got a warrant to arrest this person?
You can ask them anything, but they don't have to answer me.
You don't have to answer. Okay. I guess that answers my question. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Kubin.
Thank you. I truly appreciate the professional manner in which the Bay City Public Safety conducts itself every day, no matter what. And you've shown your caring manner and the diligence that you have in crafting good policies that, as you said, meet and exceed state expectations. I know that you were talking about accreditation. Could you clarify the agency that accredits, that does the accreditation?
It's kind of under the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. It's the Michigan Accreditation Commission. I think I got that right, but it's partially chiefs around the state, partially prominent citizens that sit on this board, and they'll every 3 years we have to get it renewed. You have to, not only do you have to meet all those policies, you have to prove that you're following them. So it's quite an endeavor, and then somebody comes in and evaluates you every 3 years to make sure you're doing it, and then you have to meet in front of this committee to answer any questions they have to get reaccredited again.
I know that you provided us with a number of policies, the print version, which I appreciate, and I wanted to clarify that these are publicly available for anyone online, correct?
Yes, about 90% of our policies are available. If you go to the City of Bay City website, Department of Public Safety, General Orders, it will take you to, like I say, about 90% of our policy. We don't have a couple on there just based on like confidential informant information or things of that nature because it would hamper our investigations.
So, for example, the uniform personnel policies, index number 1.6, which is 17 pages in length, and it was updated as recently as March 31st, 2025. That to me appears to be very thorough policy and one that is, you review these frequently and update them frequently as needed.
Yeah,
is that correct?
You'll notice the oldest policy I gave you, I think, was from 2023. If you go through all our policies, they're all within, I don't think we have any that are 5 years old without being touched at least and looked at. It's a constant review process because things change all the time.
I really appreciate your presentation today. I've heard from a tremendous amount of residents in this city from a whole spectrum of concerns. And I think it's safe to say that people are afraid for a variety of reasons. And I think that a lot of your comments here today help to clarify what we do in the Space City. And I appreciate your commitment to the rule of law, to enforcing the rules that you have jurisdiction over, no more, no less. and to honor the dignity and the rights of our constituents. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner DeWitt.
I'm just going to go back to the community policing part, because I remember representatives coming to South End meeting when that program first started with the holding out handcuffs and the struggle of understanding why people weren't coming for the treatment. It's good to see that coming through, and I remember when those programs were first kind of mentioned in this chamber right around COVID, there was some trepidation on those even getting any sort of traction. So there is definitely forward movement to be better than just a jump on and handcuff everyone you see, because that's the stereotype that a lot of police officers still have. I know that I recognize that trying to fix that is definitely showing results, and I know like when we post well, you posted because I don't have access to your Facebook, the crime stats for the month and how those are going, and we've seen year-over-year declines, except for the COVID years, for at least a decade when they started going up on a somewhat regular basis. So I know we are seeing positive movements, and I think part of this is that people are seeing things happening outside of our control and want to try to get us in control before that would possibly happen. And I know that's a scary thing for people who aren't involved, and I just want to know, like, without, you don't want to just the political departments, you're the official in the city, were any of the proposals that you've seen from this side or from similar cities that have not the same language, but similar language that you would like to see, or you've tried to put through to your department?
To me, the biggest, we have, I'm trying to put this in plain language. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm not trying to spew my opinions. I'm just trying to say what I see when I read this. It's just not necessary. We don't do any of the things that are in here. We already have policies that cover almost everything that's in these resolutions. Just these go a little bit too far, in my estimation.
That's kind of what I was looking for, just a general level answer on that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Coakley first.
Thank you for the presentation. It was very informative. Did I understand you right that you or the police or anybody in your office was not approached when putting this together?
No.
So it was pretty much done without any input. With the resources and everything else, I know we currently already have federal agencies we work with. How important is that financially, manpower-wise, and everything else for the Bay City Police Department?
It's crucial. Our partnership with the FBI, they provide funding and training that we couldn't do otherwise. Especially, we have our Safe Streets Task Force, which is violent crime associated with drug trade, generally is what they focus on. And we also have a person that's a computer crimes person that goes to thousands and thousands of dollars worth of training, has access to all this equipment that we couldn't do without that partnership.
Actual manpower, would it affect that if we did not have that funding?
Well, they pay for vehicles for those 6 people that are over there, and they also pay for their overtime. So it is a financial contribution for their pay as well.
I'm all over the place with my notes, so please bear with me. Do any of these resolutions, would they stop ICE from coming to Bay City?
No.
When we don't have ICE currently in Bay City right now?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Fair enough. The detainer request. I understand that right. It's to allow an extra 48 hours if asked pertaining to that, up to?
To be honest, the directive is we just don't do them. So
no, I know you don't, because once somebody's obtained.
Yeah, something about, I think once your reason for holding them is over, you can hold them in your jail for 48 hours. I don't.
And we have no control over the jailhouse, basically, the police department. So that would be a county thing.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. With the Michigan law 764.9, you did say 3 and 5 were admitted, I did read those. Having that, being able to do that is crucial for you to do your job and your officers?
Yes.
So, that's all I need. If you think it's crucial, that's good for me. Face mask, you already explained that. Do you, and you said this before, I just want you to go there. If you come across somebody who does not have documents saying they are a citizen, and they committed...
I'm sorry, sir, with the hat on, please. Please be quiet in the audience, thank you. I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got people attacking me.
All right, let's be respectful, everybody, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
So if you or one of your officers come across somebody who does not have documents stating they are a citizen and have not committed any crime, what would your course of action be?
Have a nice day.
Nothing, just move on.
Yeah, there's no, if they haven't committed a crime.
Okay. Thank you.
All set, okay. I got Commissioner Runberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Director Rowell, for being here. I want to go back before we get into the details of this. Thanking you for the beginning of your presentation, especially. I am someone who's been in recovery and somebody who, this is an aside, but we had, over the summer, another commissioner introduced a resolution regarding no-knock raids. I had a chuckle when that happened because the data went back to the year before my house was raided, but to the Department of Public Safety's credit and to the partners that they had as part of that program, I'm not sure which endeavor that was involved with it, but between the state police, Bay City Department of Public Safety, and the county, I will say that you can still leave off my criminal record because they were understanding of some of the struggles and vulnerabilities of people who are suffering from substance use disorder, so thank you very much for that. To dive into this a little bit, kind of starting from where some of your critiques of the resolutions that will be presented tonight had, specifically in Resolution 2, which, let me preface all this with understanding that due to the limitations of the Open Meetings Act, unfortunately this is the forum in which we get to hammer out a lot of the specifics regarding resolutions that are put before this body. So I do expect to make some amendments and changes potentially to any of the 3 resolutions, but especially Resolution 2. But I do want to point out there is a resolve clause within that resolution that does address operational security and health events, so that there is still an out for the need for DPS if they are involved in one of these operations to exercise operational security. But I do have a few questions here for you, and I appreciate you entertaining me with some of them. To begin with, we don't expect you to babysit others. That's not your responsibility. The anti-commandeering laws in this country are pretty explicit in fact that they can't non-voluntarily use city resources for the exercise of federal civil immigration enforcement. And to MCL 764.9C, I know I referenced only Section 4. Us commissioners were handed at the beginning of this meeting, or at least we had it waiting for us on our desk, the legal opinion on it, and I will entertain introducing an amendment to that resolution that encompasses what our legal counsel had identified in their opinion. But the question specifically, and I know you covered some of this, but I just want to get it clear for the record. Does the Department of Public Safety in Bay City currently honor ICE detainer requests, that is, holding individuals beyond their release time or date? Obviously, we don't have any control over the county jail, but prior to them being placed or lodged in Bay County, does the DPS currently honor any ICE detainer requests? Oh, yeah, thank you. Are you aware that federal courts have consistently held that honoring these detainer requests without a judicial warrant violates the Fourth Amendment? And and exposes municipalities to significant legal liability. For instance, Suffolk County, New York has been liable for over $60 million. The question being, are you aware that federal courts have consistently overturned the holding of somebody, I believe when you were describing the 48-hour hold that the county can do, they're referring to the habeas corpus protections that we have in the Constitution, correct?
You had a couple questions in there.
The first one, we'll just go with the latter first and work our way back. Habeas corpus, though, you can't hold somebody for an undue period of time without formally charging them, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the second question was a part of that, and I know it was a little bit meandering, so describing some of the examples, but federal courts have consistently held that honoring detainers without a judicial warrant beyond the confines that are understood under habeas corpus is a Fourth Amendment violation.
Yes, most of them have.
Thank you.
That's why we don't do it.
And I appreciate that. When DPS needs language interpretation services, what is the current protocol?
In the policy I handed out, there's 3 different options there, but the first option is to call the telephone, exactly what it's called here.
The one funded by the Americans with Disabilities Act, like the telephonic service?
Yeah, telephone interpreter services, language line services.
And just for my own peace of mind, as far as we know, that's not associated with the Department of Homeland Security and capacity. Is it beyond just them leveraging their services?
No, you actually have to pay for it.
Okay. And I don't expect you to have this number, but just out of curiosity, offhand, do you know what we spend annually on translation services?
Not much.
It's probably less than $60 million if we inadvertently violated the Fourth Amendment, I'd assume. All right, skip over this one, you already addressed it. Can you walk us through the current, and I know you probably included in this packet, I do apologize, I participated in the demonstration in front of City Hall prior to arriving at my desk, and this is a pretty thick packet, which I'm grateful you provided. But what is the current identification requirements for the policy that is DPS? I mean, identification, agency, badge number, name, things like that.
For the uniform patrol officer, if they're wearing an external vest, they have a name tape on it along with their badge. And obviously, pretty easily identified patches on both shoulders. This is a Class A uniform, or Class B. Name tag over here, badge over here, patches on the shoulders. The only people with an exception to that would be detectives who don't. They have a badge on their belt that identifies them, and occasionally, if they're going out in the field, they will put a vest carrier on that has their name on it. They don't always wear that.
No, I can appreciate that.
And obviously, there's plainclothes officers that don't wear identifying because that would kind of defeat the purpose.
Yeah, but your beat cops and everything are they have expectations for their dress.
Right.
Speaking as somebody whose Class A's were never ironed properly and who's been issued a summarized Article 15 under UCMJ for not having a pocket properly buttoned, I can appreciate that. Can you walk me through in a traffic stop? And I understand there's some caveat regarding the Michigan Municipal Code regarding appearance tickets, and we'll get to that. But for the average traffic stop, someone's got an out tail light. Is there anything within the standing policy that DPS has that allows the officer to extend the traffic stop to inquire about immigration status?
No.
And our officers trained that unlawful presence is a civil violation and not a criminal offense regarding any sort of person that may have questionable documentation for their status in the country.
You're getting into things that I would call, I don't know what's the best way to put it, but in the weeds. We don't deal at all with immigration. It doesn't matter if they're a citizen or not when we pull them over. It has no bearing on the situation.
I appreciate that. Just because I'm not privy to the systems you see on your laptops and squad cars, but I understand that how government systems work. They're not the most user-friendly as far as obviousness of things, but are you able to easily discern the difference between an administrative detainer request and a judicial warrant in your system?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I have on that one here. Let's move on to the next one. And it moves on to a separate part of the resolution, which we'll have more comments on during the discussion phase. But what does the current union contract say about body-worn cameras? Are there provisions for camera activation requirements and disciplinary procedures for non-compliance?
It's in the policy that they agreed to, that they were able to negotiate and have input on. Yes, there is stipulations.
All right, appreciate it. I know there is. I just wanted for the record. As far as federal agency coordination, I understand that us in lowly old Bay City doesn't have a lot of say, let alone even the state, for telling the federal government what to do under the supremacy clause. Do we, even if it's after the fact, do we get information from the federal government when they conduct an operation within the confines of our jurisdiction?
Well, I would say the FBI is probably we get the most cooperation from because we have people there. We hear about it. A lot of times, with the FBI, sometimes they will say, we're doing a search warrant for this. But that's about the most information I will get, is what the search warrant is for.
I mean, to be
They don't come back and say, this is what we got, this is what happened.
Right, then we debrief you on all after action reports or anything like that. Have you, and again, this is mostly for my curiosity, but have you in the past ever become aware of an operation the federal government took within the jurisdiction of Bay City that you didn't find out officially from them?
No.
Okay, well, that answered, and I'm grateful for that. That's kind of what I wanted to hear. The last thing I really have for you before just some general comments is looking at these proposed policies, how many of the policies, I understand it's a lot, it's pretty dense between the three resolutions, how much of that just simply codifying existing DPS practice versus creating new policy?
I can go line by line through it and tell you what.
That's not needed. I trust your intuition on this. I mean, there's certain red flags that really stand out to you.
Of the things that actually have an effect, we already do. The things that are going to try, I don't know, because like I said, I haven't had a conversation about this, but if this is intended to tell ICE they can't wear face masks or whatever, like it's kind of a moot point. But I guess I just don't understand the need for all of this when we already do it.
No, I get that. The need for it that I see protecting the residents, taxpayers of our community is the insulation. It's not a perfect shield. There's a lot of different caveats that could be exploited to hold us accountable if somebody who felt that their constitutional rights were violated within the jurisdiction of Bay City. But could you not see the value of having some of this affirmed by the elected body of the city, saying that this is not what we stand for, where we had some sort of difference? So the criticism I've received from both other elected officials and some of the community is that, look at Minneapolis had these protections. That didn't stop life. You're correct, it didn't. But how much more, or how much less effective, and again, when you're not an attorney, so this is just speaking off the cuff, but how much less effective would that argument be if they didn't have standing precedent policy decisions that their elected officials made to counter some of the things that could have potentially been hurled at the local police department in Minneapolis? So civil rights violations, do you think that they're any more insulated, even by a little bit, by having taken an official stance as a municipality?
I don't think it turned out that well. Whether it would have been worse or better, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I agree with you. There was multiple unfortunate deaths at the hands of an untrained 8 weeks if you just wanted the $50,000 signing bonus with the ICE. 4 weeks if you had any sort of predilection being an officer in your resume, be it a compliance officer, or if you even put in your header saying that somebody aspired to be an officer, move you into the expedited track because they assume you have law enforcement experience under the 4-week policy. Further, for some that are a fan of psychology experiments that are maybe only I find enjoyment of, there was a Stanford prison experiment that happened in the 70s. A professor from Stanford University had he put out a Peckle Classifieds in the newspaper, required a request for 24 college-age volunteers to participate in what he referred to as the Stanford prison experiment.
I'm sorry.
It's related.
Is it? It is.
Germane.
All right, please connect it. Yes.
We're getting there. This is the weave for some in the audience who appreciate the weave. But during the Stanford prison experiment, 12 of the 24 volunteers were, they had their name taken away from them, but they were given badge numbers and mirrored sunglasses, which the other 12 of the 24 participants were instead issued an orange jumpsuit and a prisoner identification number. This is supposed to be a 2-week experiment, ended in 6 days, because the professor observed the horrors that come from unaccountability. In fact, this same professor, back when before I arrived in Iraq when I fought there, was called in front of Congress to give testimony regarding his Stanford prison experiment and how it related to officer handling of people who were dehumanized by giving a prisoner ID number instead of a name, while they wore mirrored sunglasses that masked not only their names, obviously, but also masked their own eyes. So what they found was it rapidly deteriorated, and that's the same thing that happened in Abu Ghraib in Iraq. The second resolution that's on offer tonight, which, to tie back the mayor, goes back to your comments earlier regarding the identification, is if we don't have accountability for the individual agents or officers acting in an official capacity, that for me, and again, this is just speculation because unfortunately the federal government hasn't released their investigative documents or evidence regarding Mr. Peretti or Mrs. Good's cases, is that sans proper identification, we don't have, including administrative accountability, we don't have social accountability. And this isn't really a question, more of an affirmation, saying I'm glad that the Department of Public Safety follows strict identification guidelines so we don't wind up with a situation like what happened in Minneapolis. So yes, Minneapolis had these measures in place, and I'm grateful that neither Mayor Fry nor Governor Walz are going to have to deal with the situation of a civil lawsuit, which if they're not like Suffolk County, which is $60 million, in New York City, which I think was $94.5 million, or the $16 million that Los Angeles County had to pay out, they are completely shielded from those types of civil lawsuits, which if you're not a big city can still easily wind up in the 6-figure range of damages for a municipality for a civil rights violation. So I want to thank you for having provided the Department of Public Safety's policies. I also want to push back a little bit on the notion that this was never discussed. You're right, it wasn't discussed this go around, but I do vividly recall having conversations through the city manager with yourself and your deputies, whatever rank they were and what position they were in it was room 306 or one right off the city manager's office. But we did have a discussion about this. I did take our city attorney's opinion into account when I drafted these 3 resolutions. So I'll just end with that, saying thank you for providing your policies. I'm sorry I didn't come back around and have a second conversation. Unfortunately, I did feel it was prescient considering what had happened in January in Minneapolis. And they had 96 court orders the administration is currently in violation of. I guess I'll just end with that. I do know, for the record, I know you haven't seen ICE in Bay City. I have. I'm in signal chats that are involved with tracking DHS activity, whether it be ICE or CBP within our community. And I have been called out on issues to observe. And I also have, through 3 credible witnesses, 2 admittedly are secondhand, 1 firsthand, that at one point in time, Bay County did watch 88 undocumented migrants in 2025. 86 of those 88 had no prior criminal convictions, not so much as a traffic stop. So, if need be, I will put a FOIA request in for that. But to think that it can't happen here, that's really naive. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Tenney has the floor.
I took that into account and have done better, so thank you for that. And to my colleague in the 7th Ward's defense, I do feel like he approached you, although maybe not this time around, right? But either way, appreciate you. And I just have one question for the sake of brevity. I hear you that this is maybe redundant. Maybe it's futile, I guess, because this is already what you do, all of these resolutions, right? Does it hurt to codify current practices?
Resolutions as they stand don't just codify current practices, they change various things. And kind of like I deal a lot with the certifications that police officers have to have versus the certifications that firefighters have to have. I'll make this quick, but to be brief, firefighters got a public act put in place, passed by the state legislature, signed by the governor, that regulates the training that they have to get every year. Now, after having that in effect for a year, they're like, ooh, there are problems with this. We need to change it. Very difficult to do. Now you have to get the House of Representatives and the Senate to agree again on the changes. We have a lot of good policies. I don't need to have to, when I rewrite policy next time, go, all right, let me look at what the resolution was back in 2026 to pull it up. To be honest, there have been so many resolutions over 27, I bet we violate some of them daily. I don't know what they are, and I don't know how to look them up.
Through the mayor to the city manager, is there a way that the folks could look up resolutions that have passed previously?
Actually, that would be a city clerk question. I don't think we have a system where we can.
The online code has all the minutes in it, which for all the older resolutions, that's the easiest way to find it, but where they weren't numbered, it is very difficult. The new software that we have now for record retention, you can search by words, so we're getting the backlog done, but it's definitely going to take some time.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm a little bit concerned to learn that, to be quite frank. Big yikes, okay. You know, here's my thing. I'm grateful for the director that we have, right? I'm grateful that you say immigration is not something for local law enforcement. That's not a hat that we wear, that's not our specialty, et cetera, et cetera. My reservation and my fear, I guess, is that you're not immortal, you're not going to work this job forever. Presumably you're going to retire comfortably at one point. You deserve to do that, right? We're going to get somebody new, is the point. I worry that somebody new may have a different stance. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Doyle, I think you.
Thank you. I
appreciate it's been a very long hour of you standing up there answering questions, so I hope that this is relatively straightforward. You opened your presentation with quite a few programs aimed at drug intervention. How many of those programs receive federal funding?
Indirectly, I don't know where they get funding from, to be honest with you. They may get some federal. I know they've applied for grants and gotten them, but I'm not sure exactly where it comes from. We, for those particular programs, are not federally funded for us.
Something that hasn't been addressed yet. I printed off the House Fiscal Agency Legislative Analysis. This is something that was cited in the original legal opinion on the original resolution that was put forth last February. And it's something that I think has been a reoccurring concern with a lot of communication from my constituents and people in the community, is a concern about loss of funding, having funding pulled if we implement these types of regulations. And I'm just going to read this off so I'm not misquoted or misrepresenting anything. So this passed the House on 2/11 of 25. It has not passed Congress yet. It is a resolution 19 to amend Rule 52. And as it reads, of the standing rules of the House to provide that an appropriate bill or conference report cannot be brought for a vote if it contains a legislative directed spending item whose intended recipient is a municipality, including official department or board of municipalities, that does either of the following: actively maintains a rule, policy, or ordinance that would subvert immigration enforcement in any way. Number 2, refuses to comply with federal immigration enforcement measures. So, having read that, and again, this has passed the House, but I think that it reflects the attitude that we're seeing at a state level. And given the amount of grants that we have currently working within our city and the recent bridge funding that we lost, we are currently fighting to regain, this is a very valid concern that the community is having, that passing these resolutions would put us in a bind with receiving funding. So as this ties into it, just made me look at all of those great drug programs that are tackling an issue that's directly in our community and directly affects our community. I would say almost everybody in this room probably knows somebody whose life was touched by drugs or addiction. Do you believe that those programs and programs like that would be at risk?
The funding is very hard to predict. I guess the way I look at it, to say I want to say definitively one way or another we'll lose it or we won't. But when we're already doing everything that's in here, I don't think it's worth the risk to pass additional resolutions to draw a light on this when it comes to funding. It's not, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, as I said before, but that being said, I'm all for standing on moral ground and doing what's right when it makes a difference. If it doesn't really change much, I don't see a reason to risk the funding.
Very much.
All right, Commissioner Cooley.
Regarding, there is a lot of real fear about potentially losing funding, but I want to be clear that based on the current position of law enforcement and the current policy of not doing anything regarding civil immigration detainers, because that's not within what you are required to do under the law, that would you say it's your opinion that the current policy of not doing that in no way is failing to cooperate with federal authorities and in no way gives any legal grounds to put our funding at risk?
Yes, we don't, not only do we not do it, I don't think we have the authority to do immigration enforcement as it stands. But if somebody has an actual warrant signed by a judge, that we enforce, regardless of what it's for. So we're not refusing to cooperate with anything that we can do.
I agree. Thank you for that. Quickly, there was talk about training. And speaking of, like, we hold ourselves to a very high standard here in Bay City. I was fortunate enough to go through the Citizens Public Safety Academy this fall of 10 weeks, 30 hours. Got to learn a lot about what we do here, and I was very impressed. So I know there's a lot of training for our local officers, and I know there's both like upfront training and there's lots of ongoing training for everything from use of force and de-escalation techniques. But very briefly, can you just touch on the extensive training that our local force has?
It's, again, I can go back to the accreditation standards. Part of this thing I was talking about with MCOL's licensing officers now is just as of 2 years ago, where they started requiring continuing education for departments. That wasn't a thing, because there's a lot of departments that didn't do anything. Continuing training, you go to the academy, come and work the road, that's it. We've been fortunate to do more than that, but in my opinion, it's still not enough. But we do a lot more than a lot of other agencies. Every year they have to, if you go through the accreditation standards, it lists all the trainings that we have to do at least on a yearly basis. Some of it's every other year, from implicit bias training to defensive tactics training to firearms to driving. You name it, we do it.
I heard you say you're not a constitutional scholar. I'm not either, but I try and know enough not to get sued. But also I heard you say that, nobody can write a policy by themselves, and you're always willing to come to the table, and I appreciate that. And if there is, we have a lot to hear tonight, and if you, know about a gap or a potential gap in our policy, you're willing to put in the work and work within the bounds of our union contract to address the concerns in the community. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Rember?
Yeah, just a follow-up questions. Thank you. This isn't necessarily Director Rowell, but you can always chime in on it. Through the chair to my colleague in the third ward,
And he was more offended by the shit.
Yeah, well, that's. DOJ lost that fight and Chicago won that fight. It is unconstitutional, both at the state level as well as the national level, to impound funds that have already been appropriated by Congress. It is the job of the executive to carry out the laws that are passed through the legislative process, through their federal level responsibility for the executive to carry out that which is passed in the Article 1 confines of the Constitution. So HR 19 is a threat that won't be realized because the party pushing it doesn't have control of the state senate nor the governorship, executive branch. And it's also repeatedly been in violation, according to both district and appellate court judges, that there's any merit to those cases. So we've already lost $1.6 million because our wonderful state representative, Tim Beeson, had to decide there's anything this past year, you're going to see those who acquiesce, that's those who decide that this is a right versus left issue instead of a right versus wrong issue. Those law firms, Weiss and others that caved, those educational institutions who caved, they just kept coming back at them for more, telling them how to run their institution, violating all of the checks and balances, and eroding any sort of protections we otherwise have. So I don't want to see HR 19 be the reason why any of these three resolutions fail, because we're getting funding pulled already. It doesn't matter how this resolution turns out. The only thing that we know is there's a colloquially tossed around term called TACO, for those who understand what that acronym stands for. But the only people who've made any progress this past year, whether other nations, whether local municipalities or other states, are those who stood up and made that discerning difference between what's right and what's wrong. What I have in these resolutions tonight does not do anything but codify current practices, create a buffer against that which would otherwise threaten our fiscal liability as a community, and ultimately does the right thing in our constitutional republic. So that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Zanotti.
Just a couple things. I do think there's when you talk about federal funding, I think that the police department, you know, we get it from, like the school system gets a federal grant for the police in school, and I think we reimburse your department, so we have to be concerned about that. And the only other thing, real quick, I've only been here 3 months. A while back, I picked up a habit that I usually carry an index card and try to write positive things in this mixed up world we are with these big divides everywhere. You just need that to keep your sanity. And I was looking at my, just since December, public safety. You know, I had 3 notes on there where I saw something that was done by the police department or your troopers. We never talked about them. I mean, one, I'm reading bulletin in church. You know, I didn't know the week before somebody had a gun in the back of church, and here the priest is thanking the Bay City Police Department, how discreetly they handled it. And like I said, I was there, I didn't even know anything was going on. The other one, gentleman I know is elderly mother. She has a button that, you know, you see on TV when you fall, I can't get up or whatever it is. And police department came. Not only did they help her, he said by the time he got there, with his 90-some-year-old mother, they had given his mother a glass of water, and they stayed there and waited with her. So you got good leadership in your department. I have no problem that any situation that would come up in Bay City that you can handle, your department can handle. And I guess if you would need our help, you would probably come here and seek it out. But I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Any Commissioner Coakley?
I just want to echo that. When you speak and you in your voice, I hear the pride of the city, pride in your job, and the pride of your men.
And women.
Sorry. Just the force you have and the pride that you guys take. And like I said, I just want to extend a thank you myself.
Thank you. Yeah, Commissioner Shalwa?
Yeah, I just wanted to say a few things. The public safety director being here tonight, talking about all the rules and regulations that they have that governs them, in his uniform, he has his insignias on his shoulders, his badge, he has a badge number, and if someone's rights are violated, it's stark because we have all these rules and regulations here. The problem is you have to what it is. And that's in the Constitution. I've been watching my whole adult life. People get the crap.
They kind of defend, and there's been court cases settled, but what about future funding and how much on a regular basis are we asking state and federal governments for funding for this?
I can give you one example that just happened a couple weeks ago when we were considering using the build grant from the federal government. We generally ask for letters of support from all of our legislators, statewide and federal, and one of our federal legislators that cover this area contacted me because they were concerned that they were going to do a letter of support. If this goes in place, they're not going to provide those letters of support anymore. So I'm being very honest that we are getting calls from legislators about it because they are concerned about future grants. I haven't heard from anybody at the state as far as our funding from them. I think we talked about that the first time, and they were talking about revenue sharing cuts. We haven't heard from them on this situation, just this recent example.
Thank you. The other question, I just want to verify some things that I heard. And I want to thank you, Director Rao, and I want to thank every single person on our Department of Public Safety for going and putting that uniform on every single day, both on the police side and our fire side. They do a tremendous job, and I would like an applause from the because we deserve and need that, and we thank you. I just want to make things I heard from you that you said. These policies are just not necessary. These go too far. They don't codify, they change, not worth the risk. Is that an accurate assessment of things that you said during this conversation?
Yes.
I also heard a commissioner say maybe futile, and this is to codify them, but it's maybe futile. And so I hear those things and I am concerned about impact. We hear about not necessarily past funding, but future funding and the impact on it. So those are some considerations that we're talking about, they're real, and they do have an impact on the community. I absolutely, my personal opinion, I believe that there's some things that happen in the federal government and the actions taken that I absolutely find disgusting. That's my personal opinion. I have to represent and take into impacts on the decisions made here on a local basis, right? And so when I make judgment calls based on that, I have to think, how is it going to impact locally? And I have not heard anything if anything passes tonight, will Bay City residents be better protected as a result of anything that were to pass? Oh, okay, that's all I have. I know Commissioner Runberg had some follow-up stuff.
Thank you to the chair. Through the chair to the city manager, and it's okay if you're not willing to, but for the record, would you be willing to discuss which federal legislator gave you that warning?
I'd rather not discuss that, but I can tell you it's not what you think, like they were not going to give us the funds. They were looking out for us to let us know that if this happens, they don't know what the president is going to do regarding us doing a welcoming city or any of these resolutions. So it was more of a warning to say, you do know this could happen.
So it was an indirect threat?
I don't think it was a threat, it was just passing along the concerns of what's happening at the president level.
Sound like mob tactics to me, but I'll let it go. So we say it's not necessary, it's not worth the risk. So I'm asking any of my colleagues, the mayor, city manager, anyone else, the director of public safety who wants to give me some counsel on this matter. What do I tell the mixed status families who for years, decades in fact, called Bay City home that they're not worth the risk?
Hold on, please.
Commissioner Morris.
I
don't think that's the case. I don't think it's about saying that they're not worth the risk. I think we're blowing this up more than what it needs to be. I think that regardless of what we do here, ICE can do whatever they want here, and that's the point of this. What we're doing here, from what I see here, is that if this gets passed, only thing that happens to us is we could possibly lose funding, and that's more negative than positive what comes from this. That's what I'm seeing here. I don't want ICE here. I don't, personally, I don't. Am I gonna put something on paper saying, hey, we don't want ICE here, keep them out? I'm gonna put anything on paper that's gonna affect us losing money. You don't have enough money as it is. So I don't think that's the case saying that, oh, if they're not worth the risk. I don't think that's the point here. What I'm saying is that this does not achieve what we would really want to achieve. There's nothing here for us to achieve anything.
All right.
Done.
Thank you. Commissioner Rucker.
I wasn't finished with my comments, but I do appreciate the decorum. I never got a response for the record to my question. That said, will Bay City be better protected? Is Minneapolis facing the Department of Public Safety or their police department and however they coordinate the particular configuration in their municipality? Are any of the local electeds or the city currently facing any sort of civil rights violations? And the answers are not. Who is? This administration has 96 in January alone, in Minnesota alone, court violations for wrongful detention, among other reasons. So, is that stopping ICE and CBP from doing what they're doing in Minneapolis? Would Renee Good or Alex probably be alive today regarding those resolutions? No, you're right, they would. But the city is not facing what Suffolk County is in New York, which is $60 million, which New York City, which is facing $94.5 million, and LA County, which is facing $14 or $16 million in civil rights violation suits. So, will Bay City get better protected? I mean, not from ICE, not from CBP. But will we be protected from people filing wrongful detention suits against us? I don't know, maybe. It's more of a protection than not. They're taking the money from us as they have across municipalities all across this country, whether they pass these types of resolutions or not. So I go back again to my initial question that wasn't answered. What do I tell constituents and other folk across the city who think that the possibility that we might get additional money not given to us when we're already having it taken away from us? I'm sorry, but that risk was too much to justify their concerns, and I get it. It's the classic trolley experiment question for utilitarianism. Do you save 5 people on a trolley car by pulling the lever where you have one tied to the tracks and behind the other one? I understand. That's the unfortunate moral dilemma we're put into. But right now, municipalities across the state have spoken up. They've passed resolutions similar to this one. In fact, most of this wording was based on Washtenaw County, which passed. And I hate to do it. I won't go on calling people fascists and pointing to European history in the 30s and 40s, but I will point to our own U.S. history.
We're gonna be done. We're gonna be done.
Oh,
This is related
It's germane. It's germane.
Okay.
In the 1800s, we had a federal law passed called the Fugitive Slave Act. States in the north in this country, including Michigan, fought and died protecting what came out of that. Would you tell somebody who is housing a runaway slave that, oh, it's the legal thing to do, disregarding the moral thing and return them to their slave master? Would you do that? Because that is the exact offense that municipalities are currently using under the 10th Amendment and anti-commandeering laws that we have in this country about the use of our resources as illustrated in my third resolution that prohibit us, if we pass this, from using that and give us legal cover should we get sued over the fact that we violated that. I understand this isn't easy. I understand this is a question of morality rather than legality. But we have to decide whether or not the line that's been crossed however many lines ago, is one too far. If we don't do it now and show our legislators Lansing that we're joining the chorus of municipalities standing up against this in response to the 10th Amendment, in response to our state constitution and Home Rule City Act, then what are we doing here? We're not leaders, we're rubber stampers for the city.
We need to be respectful. Okay. Commissioner Coakley.
Rightful detention was brought up again. I thought we went over that. So when you detain somebody, you turn them over to the county? Once they...
If they're arrested for an offense, yes.
So okay. All right, and then it's a county issue again. Okay, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Cuban.
Thank you for telling everyone that within the bounds of Bay City, no matter who you are, whether you are a mixed status immigration, whether you are a citizen, whether you are a federal agency, we uphold the law in this city no matter what. And that I appreciate you telling us that based on the policy that you currently follow, that you agree with me that there's nothing for anybody to risk our funding for because we follow the law, no more, no less. And you highlighted here the...
Check to that. Okay, adjourn for 5 minutes. We'll be back at 8 o'clock.
I doubt it. More presentations or the presentations are not. It's gonna be like public comment. Things like that. I believe. That way. Men's room that way. Women's room that way.
You have
but sometimes I miss mass, sometimes I'm anxious.
I'll be back for you.
Sometimes I don't go backstage with the overcoat because it got gray on it.
I like your jacket.
Thank you.
It's very nice.
I like your earrings.
Thank you.
I thought you said the bitches are nice. Everyone's just kind of floating around. I saw a Mason earlier.
Then it's up to the races.
they're taking that from me.
I pointed the other direction. Somebody's gonna see us.
Okay, so this is how we do it. Oh, I love it. You have to start with a mistake.
All right, everybody. This is like a 30-second warning.
Can do is what you get. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
So we'll go back into the regular business. We are still actually in presentation. And for the next, for the record, the attendance is the same as when we went into break.
Oakley?
Yes.
Doyle?
Yes.
Tenney?
Yes.
Zanati?
Yes.
DeWitt?
Yes.
Rumberg?
Yes.
Charlevoix?
Number 6. All right, anything else? Number 6. All right, anything else? State your name and address for the record, and the item you wish to have removed. State your name and address for the record, and the item you wish to have removed for consideration on the regular agenda. For consideration on the regular agenda. Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion on the consent agenda? Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion on the consent agenda? Commissioner 10. The rules of the City Commission, each speaker will be allowed 5 minutes. The rules of the City Commission, each speaker will be allowed 5 minutes to speak. Commissioner Coakley will serve as the timekeeper. This is the opportunity for citizens to address the Commission regarding any agenda item or any other matter. Okay, hold on.
If I may to the crowd, if we could please do this as orderly as possible, if we just sneak out to the hallway for this, please make way.
Yep, thank you. So if anyone wishes to address the commission, please come forward. Print your name legibly on the registration sheet and state your name for the address for the record. And before we go into public comment, I do want to set a few clear expectations so that we can have a meeting that is fair, respectful, and efficient. We absolutely respect everybody's First Amendment rights. This is your opportunity to speak, and you will be heard. You have the right not to agree with us, and you do have the right to not agree with each other. That's part of a public meeting. At the same time, that right comes with responsibility. Speakers will have their allotted time, which is 5 minutes. asking everybody in the audience to refrain from interrupting, shouting out, reacting during someone else's time, or engaging in side disruptions. When a speaker is done, we'll move to the next person without clapping, without applause, so we can efficiently move through our speakers. If someone becomes disorderly or disrupts the meeting, I will rely on Commissioner Coakley, along with our public safety team, to enforce the rules. That could include asking someone in to leave so we can continue conducting the city's business. I want to make clear we do not regulate viewpoints, but we are obligated to maintain a safe, orderly, and respectful meeting. Speech that constitutes true threats of violence, incitement of imminent unlawful action, harassment that disrupts the meeting, or conduct that materially interferes with the orderly transaction of business will not be accepted. So with that, I ask that we move forward with our public input.
Time for me to talk?
It is time for you to talk.
My name is Pat Race. I live at 1004 North Sheridan. You understand that part of your job is to look at what's going on. There's been much discussion about one particular issue around ICE, but there are many that your positions might change if you would understand the great peril that our country is in. I want to give you two numbers. 149 million people voted for the House of Representatives in 2024. If 10,516 had voted Democratic, we would have a Democratic House instead of the Republican House. Think about that. Think about your friend American children have starved to death because what he and Elon Musk have done, which shames me and should shame us all. We ought to know what we should be doing between now and November 4th. So to those people up here, please think when you're considering all the issues like we're discussed around ICE today, that there's an important way that we can understand the peril that our country is in. And certainly people here are going to vote, but you have to vote.
Jeffrey Farnine, Fillmore, everything I say up here is my opinion. I'm here tonight to talk about the Bay City Bridge Partners. Let's not forget about these trucks. Very important. These people have been taking advantage of our community for a long time. But the good part about it is that people are coming together. We're boycotting these bridges. I don't think you'd be able to find one person in these chambers that is for the Bay City Bridge Partners. You know, we hear words like bridge authority or the bridge officials when we see this in the news. Make no mistake about it, folks. These people have no authority. They're not official. All they are is representatives of a company that's trying to get every penny from us. That's all they are. But these bills they send us out in the mail, boy, they look official. Threats with the state of Michigan. They're not in bed with the state of Michigan yet, folks, and we got to make sure they don't get there because they're trying real hard. And let's talk about this new general manager they sent here back in July. He's been invited to come here. We still haven't seen him. Anything you hear on the news anymore, it's, oh, the bridge officials, the bridge authority. That's wrong, because they have no authority over us, and they're definitely not official. We are going to be in charge of these bridges. This new general manager, if I got his name correct, Pete Rakitic, that's his name. Come on down here to these chambers, Pete, because we all want to hear what you have to say and explain yourself so you can tell us how well you're doing helping our community. We have plenty of law enforcement here to protect you. No one's gonna hurt you. Don't be afraid. Because the Bay City Bridge Partners have been suspiciously quiet lately. We haven't heard nothing from these people. That means they're spinning their wheels. Something's gonna happen. Well, part of this boycott is don't give them your money. Close your account. Try not to use the bridges if you can. If you are privileged enough to have a transponder drive across that bridge for free, go ahead and do it. Try to lighten up the traffic for Vets Park. They're not here to help us. They're here to take every penny they can and intimidate you. I've experienced that myself. Intimidation. Well, they don't intimidate me. Somebody mentioned a 10-year-old boy from the last meeting. I think that young man should run for mayor. He said those bridges should go. And I agree 100% with you, young man. You got my vote. And I'd like to say within closing that bridges are supposed to be built to bring people together, not price us apart. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Okay, Ricardo Delgado, a Detroit man, was sentenced to 60 years in federal prison today. Oh yeah, this is a statement from the U.S. Attorney's Office, and it's dated November 13th, 2024, which was 15 months ago. I lost my two front teeth, and sometimes I don't say it. Evidence in he was sentenced to 60 years in federal prison today for his role in a large-scale drug trafficking operation in the Saginaw Bay region. Evidence at trial established that Delgado was leading a large-scale drug conspiracy that involved an importation of numerous kilograms of cocaine and fentanyl from Mexico for distribution in the Saginaw Bay region. 12 firearms, including 2 machine guns. And I'd like to have one of those to take care of the squirrels that keep digging up my garden. They also seized 2 silencers and over $200,000 in cash from Delgado's residence. So the special agent in charge of the FBI in Michigan wants to sincerely thank the dedicated professionals at FBI Michigan and the Bay City Department of Public Safety. Also the Saginaw Police Department and Bay Area Narcotics Enforcement Team and Michigan State Police. Eric, this investigation was conducted by special agents of the FBI Detroit Division out of their Bay City office. A lot of people don't know we have the FBI here. Special agents, it was conducted by the Bay City office, also special agents of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, otherwise known as the ATF, and law enforcement officials from Michigan State Police, the Midland Police, the Saginaw Police, the Saginaw Township Police, the Bridgeport Police, and Bayonet, Bay Area Narcotics, Bay Area Narcotics Enforcement Team. And Sting, which is the Strike Team's investigative narcotics group. The case was prosecuted by assistant U.S. attorneys. So this is how our law enforcement agencies cooperate to keep us and our children safe from dangerous and evil people. It is also a recent and sobering example of how dangerous drugs are trafficked across our borders and into our community, and most certainly involving dealing with cartels and illegal aliens. Although the MLive reporting felt it appropriate to include a large photograph of a poster on her bedroom wall above her workbench, which read, "Snitches get stitches." Let me remind you that when the references in the Bible which tell us to treat foreigners living in our land with kindness and generosity.
Jesus expanded on
Time.
Done? Yeah, I wrote a lot of stuff, and I knew I wasn't gonna have time. But this is 10 pages, we got it 3 days ago. and that's
We have time, so
Did I get some more?
we're good. We're gonna be here a long time, and Commissioner Rudberg, it's,
I mean, it's open to objection, but or not to second, but I move to provide the speaker 2 more minutes.
all right, Commissioner Cuban.
I'll second, but I'm not gonna make a habit of it.